At some point in your life, you probably thought owning a tank would be really cool. And then your common sense said, no, that's a dumb idea. This is basically the equivalent of a tank in an e-bike form. Question is this a dumb idea, or is it a really good one? This is the Rundeer Attack 10. Now, I reviewed a Rundeer bike before, and it was kind of a traditional 20-inch fat tire folding bike. And this is clearly something completely different. When I first laid eyes on the bike in person, I wasn't sure if I loved it or if I didn't like it at all. It's growing on me a lot. Now, those are first impressions by looks alone. I have not actually ridden the bike. We gotta do that in this video. We gotta do a quick dyno run. This is a Bafang 750 watt motor in the back. They say it's rated for 1200 watt peak. We've seen numbers like that before with Bafang motors, so depending on how the battery performs, how the motor controller is set up. Now, we also have smaller 20-inch wheels, which we don't often dyno. So I'm really interested to see how much torque this little thing has. Now, you might look at this bike and think it looks small, and it is, and it isn't. See, front to back, it's tiny. The wheelbase is extremely short. I had to move the dyno all the way back. The last bike I put on the dyno was probably, you know, a foot to 18 inches longer than this. The wheelbase is really short, which makes me think that this should handle really nimble and quick.
That was awesome.
I guess we're gonna find out. It is full suspension. You've got a pretty beefy looking coilover shock in the back, and you have a triple tree fork in the front with a ton of travel. Now, it doesn't have any adjustment. It just says preload and preload, so yeah, that's not really adjustment. So it is what it is, but they do have a slightly more expensive version that has an inverted fork that might be. I'd have to check into that. Now, the frame is the really unique thing about this bike. A traditional bicycle or electric bike, the way the frame is going to be built, if it's made out of metal like this, is you're going to have different pieces, the section of the middle where the battery goes, the down tube, the top tube, the seat post, the chain stays, the head tube, and you're gonna weld all of those together, either by hand or in a big factory. That welding could be done by robots even. This frame doesn't have any welds at all. This is formed in large chunks, the main body out of magnesium, which is known for its lightweight properties, but we'll get back to that in a moment. And the rear triangle, also cast or forged out of a single piece out of aluminum. Now, normally magnesium can be something that's really lightweight. In this case, not so much. This bike comes in at about 88 pounds. So yes, it's small in length, in tire size, but it's not small in weight. And if you're thinking there is a ginormous, massive battery in here that's accounting for all of that weight, you might be a little disappointed. It is a big battery at just under 1,000 watt hours, so you will get plenty of miles out of this. You know, 40, 50, maybe 60 miles is not out of the question if this can be pedaled easily, which we'll see if it can, but that certainly doesn't account for all of the weight. It really is this super heavy duty, unique frame. The suspension, that rear shock has got to be fairly heavy. That front shock, I mean, look at the possible travel this thing has. It's huge. They were definitely featuring robustness, sturdiness, and looks overweight, which is why I said it's kind of like buying a tank. So let's get the dyno run out of the way and go ride it. And it is not small on seat height either. I am 5'10", and seated on the saddle, I cannot put my feet flat on the ground. Now, that's normal for a bicycle, and actually what you want if you want to be able to pedal, but there is no seat height adjustment. This is it. This is all you get. Rundeer. Very nice display. and it's reading accurately. The speedometer matches what's on there. So RPM wise, it's maxing out at about 28 miles an hour. The speedometer's correct. We'll see on the road how fast it actually goes. And we got 1,180 watts, just a hair under 1,200 watts. So I'd say their advertising is accurate. That's really, really close. And 32 foot-pounds of torque is not bad. That's pretty good. That's surprisingly one of the better bikes that we have put on the Dyno. It's gonna pass all the Rad Power bikes, the Hauchi, Cheetah, and it's gonna put it right above the Mach Wheel Basalt. That was a 26-inch bike, came in with just under 29 foot-pounds of torque and a little over 1,000 watts, 1,050. This is getting 1,180 watts, so 130 watts more, and another 3.5 foot-pounds of torque. There it goes right there. So it's in between the Area 13 Blackbird and the Mach Wheel Basalt. Based on those results, I'm looking forward to riding this thing around. And this is when the tank part is not that much fun. All right, can it really do what a tank can do? Go over everything. Woo! Oh man, I got stuck. I've ridden it like 100 feet, and so far, yeah, that short wheelbase, really noticeable when you're on the bike. Seat height is high enough, you can pedal, but not like a regular bike. I mean, my knees are still pretty bunched up, and I mean, look at this, they barely clear the handlebars. I can't like turn and pedal at the same time, at least not easily. All right, front suspension pretty good. Let's see what this thing can do on some gravel. Whoa! So actual speed on the road, I'm getting 26 miles an hour, maybe just a hair more. That's not bad though. That's plenty fast on this little thing. I think I already said first impressions. So second impressions, this is fun. Forget everything you know about bicycling, cycling, proper saddle height, proper length for stability. If this bike is only one thing, it is fun. It's maneuverable, it's a little squirrely, it slides around in the gravel, but you don't feel like you're gonna crash. You just feel like you're on a little mini bike of some sort, just tearing things up. No, you can't pedal very comfortably. Yes, it feels like your knees are gonna hit the handlebars at any time, but who cares? So here's the headlight that's on the front. That's pretty bright. I haven't ridden at night, but just staring at it, I feel like I'm gonna go blind. I like this kind of bold, squared off piece on the front here. Gives it that tough military kind of look. You get the same thing with the paint color they use. They talk about the saddle being like extra thick, and it is. It's really comfortable. I've had some bikes that are in this category, 20-inch wheels, you know, kind of these long saddles. Some of them are just awful and really uncomfortable and stiff. Not this one. So that's not just marketing on their website. I actually agree that is pretty comfortable. Motor's performing as advertised. Let me turn the display off and back on because it looks kind of cool. I hope you can see it out in the sun. It's Rundeer, and it does this little fancy, like zooms in on the speed thing. You got pedal assist settings, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And trip time, trip meter, watts, odometer, and that's it. That's all you got. Speed, you have a battery gauge up on the top right, which just shows like a bar. There's no number or percentage or anything. I'm not gonna bother going into any settings because it's already unlocked and it's clearly not limited on power. Not really anything else I think I need. It's a half twist throttle on the right-hand side, leather grips that kind of go with the color scheme of the bike. The brakes are, of course, hydraulic. They're kind of interesting. I've seen these before on another bike. It's either, you guys can tell me, is that DY Island, or is it like a really bad spelling of Disneyland? I don't know. They have this little adjustment right here for the lever reach, I think. That doesn't actually seem to be doing much. Well, there's an adjustment there that does something. Hopefully I didn't screw it up. And Rundeer assures me that DIY Island, or however the name is pronounced, specialize in manufacturing high quality brakes, and they've been working great. And then the calipers are a single pot or dual piston, one on each side, but they're really beefy looking. They look more like some sort of little pit bike brake than they do a bicycle brake. Now the rotors are standard bicycle rotors. A little disappointed that they're only 160s. That is a surprise to me. I feel like everybody's is putting brakes on e-bikes these days that's doing at least hydraulics is going with 180s, especially with something that weighs 88 pounds. Like I said, this thing is a tank. So I would like to see larger rotors. However, the calipers and the brake levers are getting the job done. In fact, let's go up to, I don't know, say 20 miles an hour and just hit the brakes. I mean, I can totally lock everything up. So they're working just fine, but that is at a one-time quick stop. If you were riding this thing like down a long, steep hill on a 160 rotor with that size, that means you're basically contacting the same point of the rotor more often. I could see you overheating the rotors and that causing some major brake fade. Whoa, I wasn't prepared for that. The wheelbase is so short on this thing and it's got good power and torque that if you're not prepared for it, it kind of launches. I bet a good rider could do a wheelie on this thing. You'd have to put in a little bit of a pedaling input with it. Handle's nice. All right, can we actually pedal this thing uphill? Not really. Doesn't have the gearing for it, and it's just too awkward. If I scoot back, it's a little better. This thing is just not optimized for pedaling at all. Oh, it's a little hard to use the suspension because it's kind of the tank. Anybody on the pump track? This thing is so short. I think a pump track is going to be amazing for it. That was awesome. Hello. Whew, that was exhausting, but that was so much fun. It's like this thing was made for that. So I think there's two things going on here. One, this bike is just a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be. Two, I haven't been able to ride like this in a long time, and I hope I'm not pushing it too hard today and I'm gonna regret it tomorrow. But the little Attack exceeded my expectations of fun. Now, I used to tell people all the time, forget about e-bikes being for sustainability or for green technology. Like, it is those things, but the reason people are buying e-bikes is because they're fun. This is fun. I don't often do this, but it's good enough. I will probably ask Rundeer what their dealer requirements are after having ridden this, because I'd love to put these in the store and show other people how fun they can be. Now, this is not a bike I would use every day for me. You can't pedal it very well. It's not gonna go down long, steep hills very well like some of my other bikes are. It's not as stable. Probably also, although it's reasonably comfortable, it's probably on a long ride not gonna be as comfortable either. When we get settled into our new store location, which is downtown, like this would be a fun bike to hop on and run down the street to grab some lunch or run to the hardware store. Or if you just want to get outside and throttle around and get some sunshine. Fresh out of the box, I couldn't decide if I liked it or not just based on looks alone. The looks have grown on me to the point that I think it's awesome, and the riding experience has won me over. Now there's two more things Rundeer wants to make sure that I show you, so let's do that. Definitely comment though, let me know. Do you want to see something like this in our new retail store? I think I do. This is the charger. It's rated for 3 amps. It's a 48-volt battery, in case I didn't mention that. Tools. They come with the wrenches you need to put, things like the pedals on, make any small adjustments. They also give you some little T-handle style wrenches, which is a nice touch. And it comes with a decent looking user manual. Not bad. They also wanted me to show how the battery comes out, so I guess I better figure out how the battery comes out. It's a little bit different than most. It's not as practical, I'd say. I'm probably gonna leave it in here most of the time unless I really need to take it out, because let me show you what it does. Unfortunately, probably my least favorite place to put the key. It's down here on the bottom, so you have to put the key in right there, and then turn it to unlock it, and then there is a latch right behind the key here. A little bit of a tug downward, and there's not really, it'd be nice if there was a little bit of a handle. There we go. And it is a pretty big battery, so unfortunately, it's just gonna sit on the ground just like that. So you could get somebody to give you a hand and lift the bike up a little bit, or what I did every time I've taken it out is just tilt the bike over on the kickstand. Just kind of grab the frame right here, just until it's far enough over that I can slide the battery all the way out. And there it is. It is pretty hefty because it's a 48 volt, 20 amp hour. They tell me that the cells are made by Samsung, so you are getting some good quality components in here. So there it is, the Rundeer Attack 10 weld-free frame made out of aluminum and magnesium, full suspension, and just a blast to ride. I had a ton of fun with it. Of course, if you want to see the dyno results I put up for this, you can find those at area13ebikes.com/dyno. I will also put a link in the description to where you can get one of these bikes or check it out.